Hello and welcome to Take Time. I am your host Patrick Marlett, and today let's talk about Homage watches. There are Homage watches and then there are actual Homage watches. This is the latter. A watch with its own unique style while still sharing part of its overall design with another. This is the Raven Trekker. Raven is a microbrand spicing up the Homage market with its tasteful designs and excellent build quality. However, in a market plentiful with Homage watches, is the Raven Trekker worth your time? Now, as you know, with my reviews, I like to start with the bad and then move on to the good before giving my final verdict on a review item. So without further ado, let's talk Trekker. But before we begin the video, I'd like to personally thank the team over at Worn & Wound for lending in this Raven Trekker for review. This is their show model, so you'll notice that sticker in the back while I showcase this watch here. Don't mind that. This is a show floor model, but it is a working production model at that. A piece so popular it's not even on Wind Up Watch Shop anymore. However, I will leave a link to that as well as Raven's site in the description down below, so you can check this piece out if you want to learn a little bit more about it. The case and bezel of the Raven Trekker measure 40 millimeters in total diameter. The case is roughly 50 millimeters from lug end to lug end and is roughly 13 millimeters thick from the top of that sapphire crystal to the back of that stainless steel case back. It also features 20 millimeter lug widths. The Trekker package includes a 300-meter water-resistant stainless steel case as well as a matching bracelet, a domed sapphire crystal with AR coating on the inside, and underneath all of that an ETA 2824 that Raven states is timed and regulated. The total package coming in at $850 on either Wind Up Watch Shop or Raven's own website. There's something about the circular lume plot up at the 12 o'clock position by itself, floating in that vacant space, that just feels wrong. The aesthetic is fine, however, I can't help but feel it's misaligned. Just slightly to the right of 12 o'clock, and you can sort of see what I mean when I tilt the watch down. Now that could just be my eyes playing tricks on me, and you can confirm or deny that, but I can't help but feel having a blacked out triangle pointing at the 12 o'clock would have cleared this whole thing up for me. Much like how the steel insert on the Venture series is executed, I can't help but feel the Trekker would have benefited from that same treatment. As a whole, it seems that Raven prefers to avoid the triangle at 12, so it's really just wishful thinking on my part. But how do you prefer your lume pips be done? I have my personal preference, the traditional triangle being my favorite, but is there another group you feel does this particularly well? Sans triangle. Let me know. That's really my only qualm with this watch. The lume pip seems slightly misaligned on it. Oh, and also the clasp here doesn't feature a dive extension. You let me know if you have trouble fitting your Trekker over your wetsuit. But for a majority of us, I suppose that's a-okay. The Raven Trekker has splashes of Rolex and Tudor in its DNA, though when I take in this watch, I'm mostly reminded of the modern Black Bays. The crown, case language, and bezel all feel very similar to what I see from modern Tudors. Obviously, the case lacks the beveled edges and polished sides of its Black Bay cousin, but I like the tough, brushed exterior of the Trekker. The case's brushed sides, perfectly machined coin edge bezel, and scale all work to make this watch feel like an adventurer's timepiece. Or a Trekker's in this case. Also, they do something I love, something I advocate that more brands should be doing. They make their end links aesthetically pleasing, and just like Tudor does. I'll likely get flack for this, but I hate Rolex's end links. I've voiced this opinion before, but extending the case lines via the end links just looks bad. It looks much better having the bracelet greet the end links via the center link and not the other way around. On that note, what do you all prefer? How Rolex does it or how Tudor, and by extension Raven, does their end links? I may even put a poll up for this one in the video. I'm just curious as to what you all think. The bezel on this watch is great, and although I do prefer 60-click bezels, when a bezel is done right, a good bezel is always appreciated. I use my diving bezels a lot when I'm at home, particularly around the kitchen, so having one that functions as smoothly and precisely as this one does is extremely welcoming. The bracelet, though 20 millimeters on the case end, tapers to a slim 18 millimeters when it meets the clasp. The bracelet on the Trekker is well made and well weighted with its solid screw-in links. Overall, it's what you'd expect for an $850 watch, a well-made bracelet. There are a series of half and whole links supporting the watch to your wrist, as well as 4 degrees of micro adjustment to ensure that you get the proper fit. Another thing I really like about the Trekker are the bright yellow accents of its dial and handset. They are hard to miss, particularly on this blue dial variant I have in for review. The hands and dial are simple, easy to read, and feature a generous amount of superluminova that glows a nice blue-green in the dark. This is actually one of the more pleasing dials I've had in a while. There's nothing to fuss at. And on a side note, the font is nearly identical to my Helios C4. I just love seeing what minute markers and a splash of color could change to this aesthetic. Obviously, there are differences between the two, but I really enjoy my C4, and I find myself enjoying the dial here almost equally. It has that refined simplicity that I like in a watch I intend to wear on a regular basis. And on that note, before I give you all my final verdict on the Raven Trekker, I'm going to provide you with a wrist shot so you can see what this might look like on your wrist. Now, don't be shocked with this wrist shot, as I have all the links on the bracelet currently. I'm bringing this back to the guys over at Worn & Wound very soon, so I thought to get everything back on this watch. So it is going to wear a little bit loose on my wrist, so maybe you won't be wearing your watch like this, but this is what it would look like on a 7¼ inch wrist if you intend to wear every link that comes out of the box. And just so you know, this is what it would look like at a distance if you sized it like a normal person. But you can see the 50 millimeters from lug end to lug end and 40 millimeter diameter looks really good on a 7¼ inch wrist. Now that's what it'll look like for all of your admirers, and when you are going to admire it, it's going to look a little something like this. And here's the Raven Trekker on my 7¼ inch wrist. I just love the look and feel of this watch. I've never owned a watch with a steel insert like this, but I love what it does to the dial. It just makes the watch feel a little bit smaller than it actually is, as opposed to having something with a black insert or colorized insert to match your dial. It's just a nice aesthetic and a nice switch from the regular routine of black or blue dive watches. I think going with a steel insert is a good choice, and I like that it is an option from Raven. Also, that coin edge bezel, it's such a joy to use. It's hard to explain these experiences on camera. It's just a really good bezel. And also you can see it's just machined extremely well too. They did a great job manufacturing this piece. Similarly to Steinhardt, folks used to flock to Raven for a watch that was slightly larger and not too unlike a watch they were hoping to buy but couldn't afford. A homage of the Rolex Submariner design and other various models and iterations from their catalog. Nowadays, Raven is inching away from the homage market with models such as the Defender and more recently their Endeavor series. Look, the Trekker is an excellent watch. If you enjoy the look and feel of a Tudor Black Bay sans the price, this is a great way to go, particularly if you enjoy the feel of the Black Bay on the wrist, but wanted something different. No snowflake handset, no rounded hour markers or polished sides, but an adventurous watch that won't break the bank. Look, on the surface, the Trekker is just another homage, but at its heart, it's truly something different. If you found this video enlightening or in the least entertaining, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a whole heck of a lot like this guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups that are interested in picking up a Raven watch, in particular the Trekker series we showcased today, well, feel free to share this video with them so they can get another consumer's opinion on the piece. Also, if you are new to the channel, well, welcome. I do videos like this 2 or more times a week, so if watch content is your thing, feel free to slam that subscribe button. And while you're down there, you can hit the little bell icon just next to that to be alerted as to when my videos air. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett, and thank you for the time. So I'd been getting complaints, not just one, but multiple complaints of not having enough wrist time with the watches on the channel. So I figured I'd begin the tradition now by providing you a little bit more wrist time at the end of the video. So you can see the watch at different angles with different lighting. Obviously my studio lights are in the same setup as they were before, but perhaps rotating my wrist, giving you a wrist roll will be satisfying. If you guys are on Instagram, yeah, I don't do these, but do you ever like, you get tired of the wrist rolls? I don't know. They're a little annoying after a while. I can kind of see the allure. When you see the clasp and you're like, oh, what's that gonna be? Oh, is it the newest Rolex? Oh, it's just a Raven. not just a Raven, not just any Raven. This is the Raven Trekker, yo. But no, I really do dig this watch. Of course, it's not a Rolex, okay? It's not the same thing as a Rolex, but heck, you're getting a great movement inside. ETA 2824s are, I'm gonna say it, they're a little underrated. They're used in everything. They're used by every company. But you know, I really don't think they get enough love. Like, people don't want to pay X amount of money for a watch using an ETA 2824. They're always looking for the bang for buck. Ever since Steinhardt rolled out with really affordable ETA 2824 models, folks have sort of undervalued the movement. And in truth, I think it's an excellent movement. It's one of the best movements for serviceability. You know, I know my repairmen love the ETA 2824s, any ETA really. You know, there's few problems to be had with that movement as opposed to some of its clones. So in that sense, I'll say it's a little undervalued. Anyways, is this enough wrist time for you guys? Is this do you like this? Isn't it funny though that literally the numerals on here, the font choice is near identical to what I have on my Helios C4. It's just the 3 that's slightly different, and you can't see the 3 now, but this watch, I'm gonna have a review of this watch soon enough on the channel. Plenty to say about this piece. I do enjoy it though. I initially purchased it just for review, but I think I'm gonna hold on to it. I mean, if there was one C4 to own, it's this one. But there you go. Hey, you even got a little wrist check from me. That's rare. It's so cliche. I don't normally do the wrist checks, but here you go. There's your fill. Tell me what you think about it, guys, in the comment section down below. But you can see what I mean. Those numerals are exactly the same, bro. Anyways, really enjoyed this watch. They did a great job over at Raven. And also thank you, Worn and Wound team, if you guys are watching this. This piece is great.